Creativity podcast. I'm your host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Annie Delre, nationally board certified health and wellness coach, author, and speaker. Please enjoy Annie Delre. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity podcast. Today, I am here with Annie Delre, nationally board certified health and wellness coach, author, and speaker. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I'm super excited to chat with you about creativity and how creativity shows up in your life. But before we do that, if you wouldn't mind letting our listeners know a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Sure, I'd love to. So who am I? You know, we know that I'm a coach. I like to say nationally board certified. I mean, I know you just said this, but the reason I like to include that is because I'm sure you've noticed, especially like in the creativity world, lots of people call themselves coaches, which to each their own, right? Like we're each living our dream. We're each putting titles on things. That's okay. But I really pride myself on it. So my master's degree is in integrative wellness coaching. I've written a lot of information about this specific topic.
Yeah.
So this is what I eat, breathe, and sleep. Like, I've invested a lot of time and money into this. This is, and helping people reach that as well. Like a lot of my clients and I work on creativity. What else am I supposed to say? I'm just like, da, 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 da.
Oh my gosh, like anything you want about who you are and what you do. Like maybe tell me a little bit, like, what does it mean to be a health and wellness coach?
For sure. That's a great question. So the master's was they called it integrative wellness coaching because this idea of like integrative mind, body, spirit. So the way I describe to people is something that's called, they either call it a wellness wheel or a wheel of life. Are you familiar with that?
The wellness wheel phrase, 100%. Yes. But for our listeners who may not be, why don't you share a little bit about it?
Share with the listener. I love that for sure. So thinking of a pizza pie and different slices of the pie. So financial wellness, physical wellness, environmental wellness. That's another big one for creatives. Like feeling like I'm so overwhelmed. We'll start with clearing your desk or wherever you're sitting. I can't think straight. Well, turn off the TV. Like take, and not even in a mean way, but oh, my ears are so sensitive. Invest in some earplugs.
Yeah.
I have the best earplugs in the world. I think they're $12 on Amazon, and it says like for construction workers. I live in my ear. If I'm not like in a meeting or something, and I know there's other questions, but just putting that to like, that's a pro tip for creativity. Get quiet and be in quiet and be in Mother Nature, or try to get as quiet as possible to really like allow that creativity to come on in. As I like start talking about way other things.
I love it though. I love the pro tips. Throw as many as you want at us because that's fantastic. But I think it's something that people don't necessarily think about, how getting quiet can really enhance other senses that we have to support creativity and creative expression. So thanks for the pro tip.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. I think you're so right. I love that. Like the idea of tapping into the senses. Like it's more than just drawing. I know people think creativity equals drawing, which it does, or like equals author, which it can, but that's not the only form.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm so curious because you work in this integrated world and author, speaker. What does it mean to you to be creative?
So what I would say, and I just listened to one of your other episodes. I believe the gal's name was April, and I don't want to steal her answer, but I heard her say the phrase of like thinking outside the box. And I'm sure many creatives that feel that way, but the idea of like, there's one thing to be inspired by people or to learn from the greats, but it's a whole other to like bring your originality, bring your take on things.
Yeah.
And the idea of like creativity equals confidence, putting the confidence in yourself to just go for it. Who cares if you're the only one in art class who, like, this is your first time in an art class ever, and these other people have been here for a 3-month program. Who cares, right? Like, is this $1 million painting that you're missing out on $1 million? No. Okay, then like let's take a step back.
Right, lower the bar a bit, maybe
Yeah.
have different expectations.
Right. And I work with a client right now. She's in LA, and our goal is getting her in galleries. Like, that's what she's working on. We're setting like smaller goals in order to get that. So it doesn't mean, I mean, yes, she's an artist. She did go to art school, but you don't need to be an artist that went to art school in order to take that step.
Right.
Or
Absolutely.
you don't. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I was just agreeing. You don't need the, fancy art degree to call yourself an artist or be an artist or paint or, do things that bring you joy creatively.
I love that. Totally. Like, you don't have to have the degree to identify as an artist.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think people are like scared to say that. Like, oh, I paint a little bit at my house. No, you're an artist. You're creative. Like,
yeah. What are the creative hobbies or things that you get into?
oh my goodness. So I would say definitely writing. Like,
Mhm.
writing I'm very much into, but also just drawing and mostly coloring, I would say. Like, I'll mess around and stuff, but mostly doodles or flowers. Like,
Nice. I love it. I love this. I was telling you that I'm recording multiple interviews today, and there are so many themes that have come up in all of the interviews today. People
is
doodling and drawing and color, all of these themes have come up. I love kind of the collective creative conscious that we're exploring right now.
seriously, and just that. Another thing that I love is learning about people's backgrounds, to be like my one client's a bioengineer,
Hmm.
and just started painting on Sundays because she's like, my brain doesn't work that way, and I'm going out of my way to do something that's uncomfortable, because that's what we're working on, to get her out of her comfort zone. So she's like, painting makes me uncomfortable. Like, it's, you can mess up and like you mix colors. Like, she's amazing. Like, I love the woman. It's just so funny, like learning backgrounds. Like, another was a lawyer, and she's like, I am so used to people criticize. Like, she just got out of law school, so she's like, I'm so used to everyone telling me what I'm doing wrong and how to be serious, and now I'm doing this like crocheting. That's what she was doing. And she's like, but I'm not good at it, and I'm a great lawyer. And I'm like, but who cares? Like, they're not putting you on stand to ask about your crochet.
Right. Are you a crocheting lawyer in all of your trials? You'll be crocheting? I mean, that would be amazing if that is how you want to move forward. But I love the permission that these clients are getting to explore the edges of their comfort zone and finding it through creativity. Like, what a gift to give other people. So good on you for supporting the creatives in every way.
Well, because I just think it's so important and healthy.
Mhm.
And I have clients who are like making minimum wage or less, and then I have other clients who are making are very comfortable,
Yeah.
and they're miserable. They make a ton of money and they're miserable.
Mhm.
And then we start doing creative activities that, or doing something such as like changing up their environment, getting an organizer, getting an interior designer, and suddenly they're like, oh, I am going to take a 2-week vacation. Like,
Surprise. Yeah.
right? Or just something that's like, you know what? Actually, I'm going to take all my kids to the park today, and that's not normally something I would do.
Mm,
Or I bought a Groupon to do a family cooking class. Normally, I wouldn't get creative like that, but I'm really glad I did, right? So it's like
yeah.
creativity. My sister, something creative with her was like, she was doing skateboarding at one time, and her creativity was like messing around on the skateboard, right? Like just doing whatever.
Yeah. I love that. I love the how creativity allows us to try new things, allows us
Mm.
to be curious about what the outcome is, and it's not about the outcome, it's more about the experience of that we're having doing the crocheting, the painting, the skateboarding, the going to the park. So I love all of these stories because I think they really inspire other people to be like, oh, I can do that too. I don't have to be a quote unquote creative person to try something new and feel creative doing it.
Totally. And I guess the other thing with that is like it doesn't matter what age you are. My oldest client is 84 years old. We're no longer working together, like our contract was up, but 84 years old, and her goal was coloring.
Love that. That's amazing.
And it brought her so much joy. It brought her so much joy, and it was an activity she could do with her grandkids and her grandkids kids. Wait,
Her great
I'm
grandkids.
probably messing this up, but like whatever it is at 84 that you could possibly have.
Sure. She can have a lot. I
I
love
can't
it.
do math, or like I can't do this.
Generational math. It's okay. We're not
I'm a creative, not a mathematician. Okay.
we're not keeping score here at all. I love all of the creative things that you support other people to do. And I'm so curious, what's your earliest memory of being creative?
Okay. This I'll tell you, but it's not a great one. Okay.
Okay.
Which is like shocking that I still love creativity to this day. But what it was is my dad's mom, we called her Nanny and Pop Pop. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were at Nanny's house. This is a woman who like smoked in her house, always had a cigarette in her like mouth, and she'd have this like jar of crayons, and she'd like put it down on the table, and me and my brothers would take out coloring books and whatever. And she comes up to me and she slaps the crown out of my hand because I'm a lefty, and that's like the devil's hand. So
Sure.
this is what I think of when I think of like my first, like my memory of like crowns and the smell of crowns and like a fun coloring book. I just think of her being like, don't we
Nope.
don't use that hand.
Oh no.
I know. Isn't that so funny though? Because now I have this like hilarious
Yes, and like it still lives within you.
memory. Just like to this day,
Yeah,
maybe that's why I like do art though, to show like lefties can do art. No.
we can do art with the devil's hand. Come on.
Yes.
But yeah, absolutely. But I love, I mean, it's so interesting to hear these early memories and kind of the generational input that we're getting, and then how we take that into adult life or how we carry it with us.
Mm.
And it sounds like you have such a humorous response to it where other people may not have, and you've continued to say like, oh no, I'm going to keep coloring, that's my jam, so here you go.
Are we done here? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
Are
no,
you done
i
freaking
love i
out?
love all of these stories. So much fun. Now, in working with clients and your own writing and prepping for a speaking event, I imagine you kind of come up against creative challenges. What are some of those creative challenges, and then how do you navigate them?
Um, so I guess number one is reminding myself, like, how can you make this fun? Or
Hmm.
even the idea of like this should be fun.
Yeah.
This should not be a weight around your neck. Especially if this doesn't lead to money, right? Like 100% if it doesn't lead to money, like what you are doing is putting unnecessary stress on yourself. And
Hmm.
especially if like, let's say you're a parent. I'm not, I just happen to work with like hundreds of parents.
Mhm.
But if your kid sees that like you don't embrace your like creativity, or you have colors, or you're not smiling and vibrant, like that's what you're teaching them. That's what they're seeing.
Yeah.
Or if you say it's a waste of time to doodle, then your kid's taking that in as like, yeah, it's a waste of time. Why, if they say art classes are BS in school, take another foreign language or whatever, then the kid's gonna think like art's not important. This isn't important to be creative. Or I guess, I mean, I just talked about money, but the idea of you're allowed to do both. Like you can have something that makes you money, and you can also have creative fun projects. Also, your creative fun projects can lead to money. Like we have Etsy now. We have like Poshmark. We have all these things that you got to get creative, right? Like you got to get creative if you want to make money with it. But you don't have to be a starving artist.
Right. That myth is no longer something that I think that myth of being a starving artist is not something that people want to perpetuate or keep as a part of the performing artist narrative anymore.
Yeah. And like I feel as if people and maybe it is, I don't know, but the idea of it makes them better than people who haven't struggled doing it. But that's not fair, because everyone's journey is different, especially with creativity. Like, how are you to tell someone if they're creative or not? I mean, aside from them like copy and pasting someone else's work, but
yeah,
like,
but I will say that's a great way to kind of start a creative experience is through copying, because when we're copying, we're activating that part of our brain that can help us start having more of our own original ideas. But just one way, as long as you're not
totally.
I did the original, you know.
Yeah, or the idea of like, okay, what didn't I like? Because I'm gonna do the opposite. I don't like that this artist does blank, blank, blank. I'm gonna do. At least it told me what I don't want to do. Like, okay, cool.
But you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, right.
I love it. Well, you strike me as someone who has a lot of things that inspire you in your life. But these days, who or what is kind of prompting inspiration or turning up the inspiration volume for you?
I'm gonna say my sisters. I'm gonna like my sisters are 12 years younger than me. They're twins. And I swear the word obsessed exists because the universe knew my sisters were going to be in my life one day. Like you know, when parents are like, my kid could do no harm. Like I am that. I love like living in that like naive headspace. I'm just so in love with them. And 12 years older, like that's a significant age difference. So one of the things I say is like, I'm so glad I don't have to compete with them. I'm so glad that we are that far apart that there's like no competition.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It sounds like you come from a very large family.
Oh, right. Because I was talking about my brothers. Yeah. So I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters.
Yeah. So was there competition between you and your brothers growing up? Are you closer in age, or is it?
Yeah, actually we're all about like a year, 18 months apart. Like everyone's pretty much like and then big gap, and then surprise twins.
Sure.
But when they were born, I mean, like, okay, I was the girl that every single Christmas, birthday, whatever time that you could make a wish, I was wishing for sisters. Like, truly, I said it all the time. Santa, don't bring me anything. I just need sisters. Can you just bring me a baby sister? I just want a baby. Every wish on a birthday cake. And one day my mom was like, there's twins. Like, we got 2 girls. And then pretty much like almost every decision after that, I was like, how can I be the best sister? I'm so in love with them. And actually, long story short, they inspired me to do one of, like, I would say one of my biggest creativity projects, which was write a book. Because the book was to them.
Oh, That's fantastic. What's the book?
Thanks.
Like, the book is to them. What's the book called?
So there's a curse word in it, so I'm gonna spell that one.
You're fine. You can say it. It's allowed.
Okay. I don't want to be rude.
You're fine.
It's called Shit I Wish I Knew in High School, and I wrote it to them when they were freshmen in high school.
Oh my gosh, amazing. And
Thanks.
yeah, fantastic, because I'm sure I remember being in high school, having a book like that from a sibling or someone who I looked up to would have been incredible.
Oh, thank you. I honestly, and this isn't like a plug, but I really think adults would love it.
Nice.
Because it's written to high school gals, and I
Yeah.
say personal stories as a high school gal.
Mhm.
And really only a woman who's experienced high school would totally get that book. Like,
yeah. Nice.
and actually, I guess I should say as a straight woman, because I was writing from a straight woman's perspective.
Sure.
It's not that, like, most of my friends are lesbians, and they would say it's the same thing but worse. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone thinks they have it worse. So
Sure. Different perspective, but good to identify like who you are and what voice you're coming from, and that I think is super important.
yeah, because it might not be for everyone. Like, there's quite a few curse words in it, but I'm from Jersey, and then I moved to California, and I was in California by the time my sisters were freshmen. So I was like, how can I word vomit
Yeah.
everything that I was saying?
I love it. I mean, what a creative solution of not being there physically, but sharing all of your stories and all of your wisdom with them while they're navigating some of the most challenging times of our lives. High school.
And even more challenging than when we were there.
100%. Absolutely. So I love all of this. It's so
cool.
fun and fantastic. Great. And so the fact that you work with people who don't feel creative, how would you encourage others to kind of find creativity in their life?
Actually, the very first thing I have them do is make a list of what they liked in childhood.
Oh.
That's just the very first thing I have them do is what is the top 3 things that you liked in childhood.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like, oh, you know what? I used to draw on my desk at school. I used to always get in trouble. I was always in the principal's office because another guy, this man had me laughing. He's like, really? You want me to tell you? You want me to tell you what I did in high school? And I'm like, yes, blank, yes. Like, I'll call him Joey. It's not his name's Joey. I'm like, yeah, Joey, come on, let's hear it. Okay, Annie, I'll tell you. I would spray paint everything. I was the kid that spray painted the, what's it called? The soccer field bleachers or the football field bleachers.
I love it.
So, do you know what I mean? Like, not that I have to tell you that everything can be creative.
Right.
But just this idea of like, there's creativity everywhere. He then started watching people on YouTube for spray painting, and then would buy like these big things of wood from, or like refurbished wood and spray paint it. Why not?
I love that. What a great question to ask clients, but also for people to ask themselves. Like, what were the top 3 things you loved doing in childhood that you're maybe not doing anymore? And how might you get back into it? That's fantastic.
Right. Or even like a small portion of it. Like, I remember my cousin and I, do you remember this song by Christina Aguilera, Dirty?
Uh-huh.
Like, do I even have to ask? We would make music videos to it.
100%.
And not like tape ourselves, but we were just pretending that we were in a music video.
Yeah.
And like, that was so much fun. So maybe as an adult, we wouldn't create a music video, but why wouldn't we do something fun, such as like make a 2-minute dance where we do the same thing, right? Yeah. And we're just like, it's a lot of fun. It's silly.
I too was making music videos with friends. I still do. We still do that. It's great. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this has been such a fun conversation. I just have one last question for you. What does
Yeah.
it feel like in your body to be creative?
I would say, I know these are kind of the opposite, but either one is I'm vibing high, like I can barely contain my excitement. I just am like, all of these things are coming to me. When I see in color, it's like I'm on mushrooms and my colors are even more vibrant. Like,
Love it.
um, or it's almost like the quiet after the storm of like, you are so centered on this. I guess it depends on the activity, but like you are so at one with this experience right now. And this is effortless. This is where you're supposed to be at this exact moment. So again, I know they're kind of opposites, but one of those two things.
I love it. I mean, everyone's experience is different. And so I love asking that question. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. If people want to learn more about the things that you do, the book you wrote, how could they go about doing that?
I am on social media. Like I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, but probably just going right to my site.
Mhm.
Should I just spell it, or is that just cumbersome and people will read it?
You can tell people where they can go, and I will also put it in the show notes for them.
Okay, cool. So AnnieDelre.com. So ANNIEDELRE.com. Or look me up on Facebook or LinkedIn with the same name, because I'm excited to announce no one else has my name. Weird enough.
Perfect.
I know. So like, good or bad, you can find me on Google.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love it. Well, thank you again for sharing all your pro tips and stories. It has been such fun to chat with you. I have thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.